What's up, guys and gals? My name is Splattercat. We are here today playing Hand of Fate, which is an early access game which was sent to me by Defiant Development. Instead of our normal pros and cons section, I think today, given the limited amount of time I've been able to spend with the game, we're just going to do a little bit of first impressions and kind of check the whole thing out. I have played for about an hour. I've gotten past the first couple bosses, and I do like what this game is aiming for, and so that's why I decided to cover it for this week. If you're wondering what Hand of Fate is kind of a hybrid card game slash action RPG. Like, imagine if you took Fable and then mixed it with a card game. It's a very strange game, but it seems like the kind of thing that might catch on with a certain type of game player, and honestly, it got its hooks in me, and while I do think that the game has a couple little issues here and there, I don't necessarily think that they're outside the realm of being fixed before the game goes live. And so as the game stands right now, there's no final boss. I believe just about everything is in the game except for like sound effects, music, and stuff like that. So basically the extra frills, but most of the gameplay is in place. So without further ado, I am going to be playing this game with an Xbox 360 controller today because that's what I learned the game with, and honestly I don't really feel like learning the keyboard controls after already learning the Xbox controller. It's already here, so let's do it. I don't know, I'm kind of a controller addict. It's kind of blasphemy to say when you're a PC gamer, but it happens. Let's go ahead and start the game off. So this is the dealer. The dealer hands out all of the cards as you play, and he actually gives you the various challenges you're going to be going up against. And while it's difficult for me to describe the game as it stands right now, I do think that you're going to get a feel for it as we play the game. And so let's go ahead, we'll just start. We'll play our first hand here, and you'll kind of see how the whole thing goes. And it is a very, very interesting game.
Here is the first member of my court, the Jack of Dust. 12 in all must fall before you may challenge me.
Okay, and so our first challenge is to defeat the Jack of Dust, but before we do that, we have to go on an adventure and get to the Jack of Dust. He's not very difficult. He's basically just a stronger version of your generic bandit. There's a lot of lore that goes into this game. I love the artwork and kind of all of the tarot aspects they've added to it. It's very, very awesome. I think this game definitely has a bright future in front of it, but we'll talk about that near the end of the game. Instead, let's get to playing the game right now.
Let the cards fall where they may.
Okay, and here goes the deal. He's going to assemble his decks, which are going to be the challenges, and then he's going to assemble our decks. So basically, he's in control of a couple decks, the Pain deck and the Monster deck.
If you defeat me, well, it is early to be talking about victories and losses. Let us see what you are made of.
Alright, so if you look at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, we've got health, we've got food, and we've got gold. Our health is the health that we have remaining for the adventure. If it falls to 0, we lose, and we have to restart and redeal the deck, and it will be done randomly, so your adventure is different every single time you play. Food allows you to regenerate in between challenges, so as we move from card to card...
Do not waste my time.
I know, dealer.
Perhaps you are having troubles understanding how your piece is moved. If so, you will not progress far. I require far more from my opponents than mere competence.
Alright, and so you can see I'm moving that aura right there. It's kind of like you're in a card-based dungeon. So let's move to this one right here. And it flips over, and we got the Twisted Canyon, which is going to be our first challenge. You'll see that our food counter went down by 1. If you run out of food, you start starving to death in between challenges. Now, if you have food, you regenerate health in between challenges, which can be nice. The gold is used for occasionally you'll come across a card, which will be a market vendor, and it'll work out great. Hey, calm down, dealer.
Perhaps you are having troubles understanding how the piece is moved. If so,
I'm not having troubles figuring out how the piece is moved. I have moved the piece. The piece, I took it up in my hand and I moved it. I moved it like crazy, dealer. So let's get on with this whole thing. All right? Okay, it says you see a weapon glinting in the sunlight and lying next to a skeleton at the bottom of a canyon. We can climb down and get the weapon, or we can leave it. Let's climb down and get the weapon. Fortune favors the bold. Also the prepared. So the left card is huge success. I think I lost it. But I think it's this one. Ah, huge failure. Balls. Alright.
The Pain deck. These are my little surprises thrown in your way.
And so as a penalty,
See how you fare.
the dealer draws 5 pain cards. So we lost 15 health, 3 food, 5 gold, which we didn't have any gold, so that's fine. 20 gold, so that's good actually. And then, okay, so actually as far as that could have gone, we came out a lot better than we would have given any other result. So basically we could have lost a lot more food, we could have lost a lot more health. So basically the dealer is control of the monster deck and the pain deck. When bad stuff happens, he draws from the pain deck. When you get attacked, he draws from the monster deck. He also has all of the beneficial decks along with him. And so the beneficial decks that you're going to find along the way are going to give you things like equipment, they're going to give you things like free gold, they're going to give you all kinds of goodies. Basically, he hands out all of the rewards and penalties for anything you might do along the way. As you land, your head strikes a sharp rock and knocks you unconscious. When you wake up, the weapon has vanished. Alright, so I will say if we did a normal failure right there, we would have taken 3 pain cards, but we would have still got the weapon. So just things to be aware of for the different outcomes. If you get huge success, you get the weapon, and I think there's something extra down there as well.
Each step will cost you food. If you have no
The maiden.
food, then you will not recover. Of course, you will also starve to death. Try not to.
I am Marith of the Forest Folk. My people have long helped the mortals of this realm. What boon would you seek? I suppose we should probably ask for supplies, considering we're out of food, so let's go ahead and ask for supplies.
The game deck is filled with things that will tilt the game to your advantage. So it goes.
Okay, so we get to draw 2 food gain cards, and so we got +1 and +1, so we have 2 food now, which will help us actually complete this quest, maybe. Let's go ahead and step on into the next area. It's the Field of Poppies. You wander among a field of poppies. Too late, you realize that they're sleeping poppies. You wake up groggy and disoriented. So we lost a food right there, but ultimately that's kind of a neutral card. Nothing terrible happens.
A second level. Somewhere within dwells the Jack of Dust.
We've discovered the exit to the area. We take the stairs on up, and we embark on the next leg of our adventure. Okay, and so the next area, there's not a whole lot of choice here. It's basically walking down a corridor.
The deeper you go, the greater the risk of starvation.
So here's the traveling healer. In a shady grove off the beaten trail, you find a gypsy caravan willing to trade with a wandering adventurer. We don't have any gold, so I'm going to pass it by. You continue on your journey. We're also out of food, so we're going to start starving as well. So you see we just lost 10 health right there. Dead Man's Gorge. While crossing the ancient rope bridges of Dead Man's Gorge, you hear movement from under the rope bridge. It's an ambush. Draw 2 monster cards. And so we got a 2 of dust and a 3 of dust, which I think means that there should be 5 monsters all in all, and they will be dust bandits. So let's go to the battle screen.
A battle. Now we test your skills in earnest.
So the battles play out like this. I'm actually going to pause it right here. And so you actually just move around as you normally would with the WASD or with your controller. The X button for me is going to allow me to attack, whereas I think on the keyboard controls, it's going to be a... Oh, and we just got struck in the face with a sharp implement. That's not good for us. That is definitely what we want to avoid here. And so I'm just going to spam my way through this. You definitely want to strike the guys. Oh, and you can also dodge roll by using the A button, or I think it was the space bar on the PC controls. And so we want to get out of the way. The combat functions very much like Fable does, but the combat is the first area where I would say that the game starts to show a little wear around the edges. Just in my opinion, the combat is a little bit floaty. Now, in a lot of ways, it's incredibly similar to what you might see in Batman Arkham Asylum, but at the same time, it feels very, very floaty and it feels a little bit loose. If I had to give my critique right now of the combat system, I would say that the movement's fine, the dodge roll needs to be a little bit quicker, the attacks need to be a little bit quicker, as do the attacks from enemies, and then once you get a certain weapon, it will be very much like a Batman Arkham Asylum, where you can do counters by pressing the Y button, or by pressing, I think, I don't know if it's right click on the keyboard, but anyways, when you counter people, it's just like Batman Arkham Asylum. And oh my god, this dealer will not shut the hell up. I get it. You want me to hurry, man, but seriously, in the middle of a review right here. Let's let's simmer down. We got 10 gold, we get 2 gain cards. We got 10 gold, and we get 1 equipment card. What did we get? We got the shield, which has a $7 value, and so it's better than the rusty shield that we have already. So let's go ahead and we can take the shield. Do we want to equip it right now? Yes, we do. One thing I do like is as you accumulate gear, it does show on your character. So aesthetically, your character will change over the course of your adventure. He'll get more burly, he will get more plate mail, he will get shields, he will get weapons. But there is a counter system in play that you will get with certain weapons as well, like from Batman Arkham Asylum or like with Sleeping Dogs. We've now done the Winding Trail card. Suddenly a tree falls across your path, blocking the way ahead. It's an ambush. You must fight for your life. 2 monster cards, so we got 5 more dust bandits. Let's jump back in and see if we can survive this. Alright, and so here we are. I'm going to open up on these guys. Let me dodge out of the way of that. We'll go ahead and lay down on these, but right now it feels like there's a slight delay in between swinging. The swings don't feel quite as weighty as I would like. I don't know if the sound effects that they have in the game right now are placeholders, but what I would say is possibly think about adding sound effects that are a bit more chunky, that feel like they've got some funk to them, that sound like they hurt when they hit the enemy. Because as of right now, because the combat feels floaty, the light sound effects that they've put in definitely don't give the combat the feeling of weight that you would kind of hope for. That being said, if you've played Fable, essentially the combat functions very, very similar to Fable. You hack and slash and then you dodge out of the way. We get 2 loot cards now, so we're going to draw 1 equipment card. We got the Mace, which strikes faster than an axe, but doesn't have the countering capabilities. So let's go ahead and equip that because it is better than the default rusty axe that we have right now, which is pretty miserable. So it strikes faster. And then we find a health tonic as well. And so we get 5 health, which puts us up to 59. With 1 challenge left to go, you guys know what's waiting for us. It's going to be...
You remember the Jack of Dust. He still awaits your challenge.
The Jack of Dust. The bandit leader is stronger and faster than most bandits that you've encountered. He also inspires his nearby henchmen to steal gold whenever they land a successful strike. The game is I do like the way that the game aims for a challenge. Now you may notice that he's put coins in that jar right there. That is the wager for winning or losing this fight. Those right there, those little pieces that he put into that little cup, those are bonus cards. Your deck gets thicker every single time you beat a boss, and so you get more and more events, more and more gear, more and more challenges every single time you beat a boss. And so the game becomes kind of expansive. It's almost like you're buying booster decks every time you win a fight. You go ahead, and I'm going to try and stay out of this from getting myself murdered. It's going to be kind of embarrassing if I have to fight the first boss all over again, because we do have to start from the beginning if we lose this. Because we're using the mace, we do have an attack speed advantage, so I'm going to try and knock out dudes as best I can. We also have a stun attack that's on our B button, and then you can shield bash a little bit with your Y button. Oop, let me get out of there. We'll stay out of the way of the big guy because I'm not trying to get eaten up right now. If you can get the strike off, though, you do have a swing speed advantage. That guy's now dead. And there it is. We're just going to try and finish off the Jack of Dust. He's got an awesome tricorn hat, so maybe we could steal... Oh, never mind. It's a bandana.
Perhaps there is peace for him.
Okay, and so there it is. Our first boss is defeated. It's added to the list. There are 12 bosses in the game. And so now we get to see what our wager has won us. We get stronger counterattacks, so now we counterattack a lot harder than we would have previously. Unfortunately, we can't counter until we have a sword. That's a special ability that goes along with sword weapons only. The enemies also get a buff now. The enemies, bandits, have had their strength increased, so they're going to be a little bit harder from here on out. They have awesome sideburns. I respect that.
We have wagered, and you have won.
Okay.
Claim your rewards, yet I will also claim mine.
So let's...
You improve, so do I.
Yeah, that's the one thing. The better you get, the better the dealer gets. And so the game gets continuously harder, which is what I think the developers are striving towards, making a game that's very challenging. Let's open our first booster deck. As a reward for beating the Bandit Jack, you receive new cards. The Cave Rescue, Ambush, Jack of Bones, the Dead King's Hall, a Winding Trail, and a River. The second booster deck. We get the Medium Armor, the Viking Blade, the Time Heals, the Chains of Rage, Fate's Folly, and the Explorer's Helmet. The third booster deck. We get the Bandit Attack, we get Goblins, and we get Maze of Traps. Now, the ones with a little lock on them mean that I think you have to put them in your deck. Now we start over again from the beginning, but this time we'll be going after a new boss with our new deck. The Jack of Dust is removed, and the Jack of Bones has been added. Alright, this tenacious undead is unusually difficult to lay to rest. In addition to sheer strength, his skeleton has the power to revive recently defeated skeletons in close proximity. Unfortunately...
You cannot play until your deck is legal. Sort yourself out. Then we will begin your second challenge.
Alright, so as he said, we have to make our deck large enough to play the next challenge. This means that every single time you play, your deck has become larger and larger, and it's less consistent. You won't be able to predict what you're going to get the more you add. So let's do our equipment deck, or I'm sorry, let's do, equipment deck first. I'm going to get rid of the axes because I don't find them to be very good. So the axes are now out, and in their place I'm going to put in the Viking Blade. I'm going to put in the Medium Armor. I'm also going to get rid of one shield, and I'm going to add the Chains of Rage. Now, what if we want to inspect these cards and see what they do? Well, you just want to press the Y button here, and the Viking Blade. Weapons with this trait, it has counter. Okay, and so it allows us to do something else as well. It also allows us to have finishers, and so if we hold down the left trigger and we press the X button, we can finish people with it. And so as we attack, it gains charges by performing higher tier attacks. Then we can press the left bumper to trigger rage. So I think it means the left shoulder button right there. Not bad. So that's the weapon we're going to be aiming for on the next playthrough. What does the Explorer's Helmet do? Reveals the stairs encounter on entering a level and grants a gold bonus for revealing every encounter on a level. Okay. Might not add that one. What's Fate's Folly do? Success chance cards award gold, but fail cards will cost you player gold. So that means that while we have that buff in play, we'll get additional gold every time we succeed at a challenge, but we'll lose gold if we fail at one. That one's a little bit of a gamble. Time heals. What do you do? During combat, press the left bumper to twist time and revert all damage taken in the last 10 seconds. Absolutely, that seems like a really good spell to have. We'll go ahead and take some of the chance cards because I think they make things more interesting. In addition, what does Damocles do? During combat, press the left bumper to throw knives in the 8 cardinal directions. Ooh, we can be a little bit of a knife chucker right there. Okay, so we can do some roguey action. Seems kind of awesome. Let's go ahead and fill out our encounters deck now. In our encounters deck, we can't take the ones with the locks out. Those are stuck. They can no longer be taken out until we defeat them for the first time. The Devil's Choice I'm going to leave, and you really want to kind of stack the deck in your favor. So if you're bad at challenges and you're bad at watching the card game, I would take all of the card games out. If you're really, really good at doing the combat challenges, I would put a whole bunch of those in. And so for now, I think I'll get rid of the Twisted Canyon. We will add in a Winding Trail, a Dead King's Hall, and an Ambush. Because I like the combat. I find it to be pleasurable. And so we'll step on out and let's see if we can't defeat the Jack of Bones before we complete our playthrough. I think we're about done here. So let's step on back and we're going to play our next hand. I'm going to speed through the draw phase because we got stuff to do. And let's see what we draw. You'll notice that on each challenge we start over with everything replenished. We got the Dead Man's Gorge. 2 monster cards are drawn. While crossing an ancient rope bridge of the Dead Man's Gorge, you hear movement from under the rope bridge. As before, it's an ambush. We get 6 bandits this time, and they've been upgraded as notified by those little pips. You see those little red pips that are on each card? That means the bandits have been upgraded by 1 tier. So we'll want to watch out for these guys along the way.
Waste my time.
They're also going to be a little bit more difficult because they've reverted our gear back to the default gear that we started with on our last challenge. Now we want to make absolutely sure that we don't get cornered. If we get cornered, we're toast. You'll also notice the game has no music. That will be added later on. Hopefully it'll be nice and epic. I'm just going to hack my way through these guys. Ooh, I got him. Okay, I didn't know if I was going to be able to preempt that attack before he got me. But the combat, I will say, is very dynamic, and it can feel very, very crowded. I say that maybe we want to expand the size of the arenas in certain cases too, but as from what I've seen, later on there are larger arenas, so that might be a non-concern. Scouting, we get 3 cards, so let's go ahead and draw 3. We inspect them and put them back into the deck. So we get 2 game cards. We get Dead King's Hall, which is over there. We get Stairs, which are over there, and we get Winding Trail. Okay, and then we get 1 equipment card. We got the Mace, which is fine. The Mace doesn't have finisher, but it does strike very quickly, so I'll take it. The second gain card. Wait, where's our second gain card? We only got 1 right there. Oh, Scout, I think, was the other gain card, so we know it's coming. Alright, well, the Dead King's Hall is up next. Oh, there's a wager involved with this one, so it's challenging. You see an ancient ornate coffin in the main burial chamber. It may hold spectacular wealth, but it will be guarded. Draw 2 monster cards. We get 5 Dust Bandits that are tier 2. And we're going to attack. So there's 4 cards right there. We want huge success. I couldn't see it because it went into the back. The only way that you can see where the huge success goes is if it goes into the front. So I'm just going to take a gamble and say right there, success. So yeah, my choice, I was going to choose all the way on the right, but I went with that one. Unfortunately, we just get to attack all 5. So what he means right there is that now that we're in tier 2, there are traps everywhere, and we got to watch out for those. So I don't know where the traps are, but we want to definitely keep an eye out. I mean, they could hurt us very, very badly. It looks like there's some kind of lightning rune on the right-hand side of the arena. Now, I will point out that they do affect the enemies as well. So if you know where the traps are, you can bait the enemies into the traps and actually wipe them out that way, which can be actually a really, really successful way to kind of hedge your bets. If you hide behind a trap, you can do a pretty good job at killing off 3 or 4 guys before they realize there's a trap there, at which point you may have a far smaller challenge before the end of the arena. Now, we did check out that trap over there. I'm a little bit disappointed. Oh, it's that pressure plate. So if you step over there, it's going to blow up. We get an equipment card. Oh, 3 gain cards. We got Damocles. During combat, press the left bumper to throw knives in all the different directions. Okay. We got Good Fortune, so we gain 3 gold coins. Ah, we got 13 gold altogether. So hopefully we'll find ourselves a merchant along the way.
Your supplies are running short.
A winding trail.
Press on.
Suddenly a tree falls across your path, blocking the way ahead. An ambush. You must fight for your life. We got 2 skeletons and a Jack of Dust, actually, interesting, who's been upgraded as well. So the boss is now just a generic enemy. I didn't even know that could happen, so I'm learning new things each and every time I play the game. I'm going to watch out for the... Oh, the skeletons have guns. I forgot about that. Okay, so since the skeletons brought gats... Oh, and there's actually... You see that pillar out there? Oh, there's 2 of them. Oh, God, and there's another trap over there. Okay, so we got a bunch of problems here. We've got a punji pit type thing that's firing things at us from off screen. We've also got a little bit of a spike trap in the bottom right corner. So we've got 2 totems that are firing at us and a spike trap. So we're going to want to watch out for those. Basically, the right side of the arena is off bounds. We don't want to be there at all. I like that scream right there. It sounded like Homer Simpson. I don't know why, but it was pleasing killing a guy that sounded like Homer Simpson. So that guy dropped coins. I don't know what that's happened from. There it is. There's Damocles. I don't know how many times I can do that in a combat, but it is an ability. I think we can only do it once. I think it's on a recharge, so I'm going to stop sabotaging myself in order to do it. Let's beat that skeleton to death. We're going to watch out for that spike trap on the right-hand side. Unfortunately, oh, he shot his friend. That wasn't very nice of him. But what are friends for? With friends like that, who needs enemies? And so down they go. Getting a little bit worse along the way. It's definitely getting a bit more sketchy. You search the body for loot. You get 2 cards. Time heals. Okay. I'm actually going to equip time heals. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better than the knives. And then we gain 1 food. It's not much, but it'll allow us to go a little bit further with our adventure. We got goblins. I don't think I've ever had goblins before. Let's see what happens. One night, you awaken to find your belongings being ruffled through by goblins. As soon as they notice you stirring, they run away. So we get 3 goblins. I have no idea what their attack set's going to be, but I guess we'll go into this one blind and just kind of find out the best way we can, which is by trial and error. I can already spot 2 traps along the road. I think I'm going to leave those for the goblins right now. Where did my mace go? Why am I using a axe again? A little bit strange. They're taking cover behind one of the arrow traps. Oh, I've got to run them down? Okay, that makes sense. So they're a little bit like loot goblins from Diablo, where it's probably in my best interest to beat them to death. Oh, they're not dead yet. Okay, well, I just got hit by arrows, but so did he, so I'll take it. I don't even know if they fight back or if there's a time limit right here. Oh, there is music. Okay. Well, I hadn't noticed the music, but there it is. A little bit more gold to be had. Ooh, that's actually a lot of gold. That's better than you get for most of the challenges. So I should probably go out of my way to pick up the other one, too. Actually, I'll probably kill him last, the little guy with the... Maybe he stole my mace. Maybe that's why I have no mace. I'm going to heal myself really fast. Oh, he's trying to jump down the portal. Ah. I should have known that was coming, so I failed the challenge, unfortunately. But we did get a bunch of gold out of it, which isn't so terrible. Up the stairs we go. And we got a bandit attack. Did I get my mace back, by the way? Like, how's that looking? A group of bandits suddenly attacks. The King of Dust isn't happy with you killing his men. Yeah, well, he doesn't have to be happy about it. He's a King of Dust. You know how terrible of a domain that is? I wouldn't even be proud of it if I was him. I wouldn't even brag about it. I'd be like, whatever. Ooh, this place is super trapped. Yeah, we did get our mace back, so that's good. So this is one of the larger arenas that I was talking about. And this one's got arrow traps in it. let's run the arrow traps. Ah, there's a spike trap as well. Okay. And so as you can see, this place is much, much larger. Now, what I would like to see is treasure scattered around these locations so that there's a reason to brave the traps. As of right now, we could have just stayed in the spot that we were, and nothing bad would happen. But then again, I guess that might make the game a little bit too easy. So we get 3 food on one of our draws, and that's all that we get. That's all that we needed, though, because we're regenerating at a rapid rate. We found a traveling mage. Let's go ahead and stop by and see what's there. In a shady grove off the beaten trail, you find a gypsy caravan willing to trade with a wandering adventurer. Let's approach the shop. Greetings, wise traveler. We have much to offer you.
Why you've been collecting all that gold. Now you have your answer. We're starting to get into the meat of the game now. The back and forth between resources and rewards.
I'm going to sell Damocles for 65, so there it goes. So now we've got a bunch of gold. We got 89 gold right now, which is pretty excellent. And so we can go with Hermes antlers, the dragon armor, or the fleet cuffs. What does the dragon armor cost? We've got more than enough money. Let's get Hermes antlers.
Interesting choice.
And the dragon armor. What does this do? During combat, you leave behind a trail of flame that damages any who pass through it. Equipment with this trait burn with the flame of the ancients. Despite being powerful and numerous throughout the lands, beware, lava golems shrug off their blows with ease. Cool. Hell yeah, equip it. I don't even know what the antlers of Hermes even did. Lizard men take double damage from the player's attacks. Okay, well that's not that useful. But anyways, it looks awesome. We'll also buy a little bit more food because we have the cash to do so. And so $18 will buy us 5 more food. We're at 10 food, 6 gold. We've spent everything we had, but there's no guarantee we're going to see anything else before we get to the end of the adventure. Field of poppies. We fall asleep one more time. You wander among a field of poppies. Too late, you realize that they're sleeping ploppies. Ploppies. You wake up groggy and disoriented. That's just poppies with bowel problems. The winding trail. The tree falls across our path one more time, and we get skulls and skulls, so a group of 4 skeletons, it looks like. Let's beat them to death. Yeah, new hat and new armor. We're looking stylish as hell right now. I'm going to do my best not to get shot. Ow. And as I say that, I get shot. He's probably going to pull back to a corner, but he's the first guy that I want. I want him, and I'm going to have him, and so we're going to take him out. I'm also going to wait and see if he stands up. These guys also have a new mechanic that you need to be aware of. It's the fact that they block, which can become an issue. And I jumped right into that one. I should have thought about it. I'm not really sure how we break the block. I think maybe we throw a shield bash or something. The skeletons don't appear to be affected. Yeah, we have to throw a shield bash into it by using our B button. Oh, he ran into my flame trail. Hell yeah. I've got them chipotle farts and I'm leaving them behind. There's nothing the enemy can do to defeat us now. Bathe in the glow of my terrible flatulence. Fiend. This is what happens from evil doing. This is what becomes of evil doing. I probably should have healed myself too. I didn't think about it. Well, damn. Alright, well, we get an equipment card. Ooh, the Viking blade. Yeah, buddy. Now we can counter. And we can do finishers, and we also get 5 gold. And so going into the final combat, I think I'm going to spend my time here talking about the game as we close this thing out. Oh, bandit attack. Shouldn't we get... what's his name here? Okay, well, whatever. The dealer draws 2 monster cards, which we go against 6 dust bandits in a smallish arena with flamethrowers everywhere. And so you see that little marking above the enemy's head, that little green mark? That means that they're available to be countered. And it works exactly the way you would expect from like Sleeping Dogs or any other game that has a counter. Batman, Arkham Asylum, and so forth. You press the button, you get a freebie counter, you don't take damage. It basically gives you infallibility against your foes. It's a really, really good thing to have. I'm going to bounce around like a psychopath here because I feel as though it's probably in my best interest. I think we can execute now too somehow. Oh, never mind, they're all dead. Never mind. And I think the things that I like about this game, I do like the way that the game feels very Fable-y. I also really enjoy the setting. That's the sort of thing that you might not see from any other game. A card game mixed with an action-adventure RPG. I do like the randomized nature of the game as well. It's a very, very interesting way to proceed. Oh, I guess I missed something. Alright, well, we'll go back over here. But as I was saying, everything about the game is very, very charming. I think when it's a completed project, I really like the way that the dealer is actually your enemy and you're working your way to fight with the dealer. I also like how the variability in cards actually affects what abilities you have. So, based on the weapon, the armor, the helmet, the gloves that you have, your abilities change completely and totally, and I find that that randomizes the game and makes it very, very interesting. Moving into the post-commentary aspect, of this first impressions video. I do want to talk about the things with Hand of Fate that I do and don't like so far, because when the developers emailed me about the game and they sent me this copy, that was definitely something that it seemed like they were interested in hearing. They wanted to know where they could improve with the game and what things I liked and what things I didn't like. And so, much in the same vein as pros and cons, instead of making critiques right now, I'm just going to say there are things that I like, and there are things that I think need to be tuned up before the game goes live on Steam. And so the first thing that I would say about the game is that I really, really like this setting. This is something that you're not going to get to see from any other game. You've got cards, you've got boards, you've got a dealer, and yet at the same time you've got this lovely little Fable-esque combat system that you get to jump in with every now and again, and at times it's used in unique ways as well, such as the maps that you're going to see in the background where I'm playing against just traps. There's no enemies, it's just a room full of traps that I have to navigate to get to a treasure chest. And so the game works on a lot of different levels. As a board gamer, as a card game player, and as a video gamer, I have to admit that this game scratches a whole lot of itches. If you're one of those people that loves addictively opening up the foil for cards, this game does that, because at the end of every single round you get the new foil wrapped cards that you get to add to your deck during the next round. If you're the sort of player that really likes gambling, or you just like chance, you never know what's going to be coming up when you flip that card. You could get the same terrible encounter over and over and over again and have your skills put to the test, either watching cards or B, playing through challenges on the physical action map, and I like that. This game goes in a lot of different directions. Now, there are some things that I will say about the gameplay that does need to be changed. Now, the challenge is right on point. That's another thing that I wanted to bring up, is I think the challenge is right about where it needs to be, but I would say ramp it up slightly. So in the way that I would do that is what I'm going to say now. What I said earlier during the playthrough still stands. I do feel like the combat is a little bit floaty and it lacks impact. I would say to increase the speed of the combat slightly. I don't know if that's even a thing that can be done, but were it my preference, if you look at games that have similar combat systems, as I've mentioned before, Batman Arkham Asylum, Sleeping Dogs, games that rely on counter blows and also just kind of hack and slashing and making sure that you're landing combos, those games function very, very quickly. I would say to speed up everything by, 20-30% so that it feels less floaty, it feels less telegraphed, and you get to the point where the combat flows a little bit better. Additionally, I would make the counters flow a little bit smoother and faster, just because I don't know if that's something that can be done at this point. Once again, the game is in pretty late development, but that's just the things that I have noticed. The combat, I think, takes a second stage to the card game, and as of right now, the game is still in early access, so there is the time to shore that up and make it so that the card game aspect and the action-adventure RPG aspect are equals, rather than one being supplementary to the other, which is how it feels in my eyes right now. All in all, I do feel like Hand of Fate is a very, very good game, and I feel like the team that's developed it has done a very good job thus far, and so I don't have a problem promoting the game as it stands right now. I will say that typically, when I go into early access games for Weekly Indie Newcomer, I'm very cynical about it, but I'm glad that I gave Hand of Fate a chance and I decided to sit down and play the game for an hour or two, because it turned out to be a game that I was very, very interested in. In fact, I think this game runs a very good chance of someday having an LP made in its honor once the game is completed. My name is Splattercat. The game that we've looked at today is called Hand of Fate by Defiant Development. I look forward to seeing you all in next week's episode. If you're new to the Nerd Castle, this is called Weekly Indie Newcomer, or WIN for short. It's my weekly series that I do on an up-and-coming indie game that I find has been very, very interesting over the last week. It's my way of giving a shout out to the smaller developers out there. Please remember to like and subscribe. It helps keep the series afloat, and I will see you next week. Take care out there, everybody.